Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoEase with Mike. I'm your host, Mike. I like to simplify crypto and DeFi for everyone, including mom. You can go as fast as you want or as deep as you want, and you can unlock hands off crypto growth. I'm going to show you how to do that. But today, we're going to look at how much should you start with in crypto. A lot of people are asking this question. And in fact, one of my own members, Matthew, who just joined our community a couple days ago, asked me this today. And I'm like, this is an excellent question. I'm going to make a whole YouTube video. I'm not even going to do just a personal one-on-one response in the group. And so here is my Smart Beginners 7-step framework to how much you should start with in crypto. Because I do get asked all the time, how much should I start with in crypto? I mean, there's the question right there. So the real answer is it depends. And I'm going to walk you through today a 7-step framework that I've come up with based on all of the hundreds of people that I've helped with creating passive income through crypto. Why should you listen to me? Well, I got started with crypto in May of 2020 with $100 in Bitcoin. And less than a year later, I created a portfolio of over $500,000. Now, that sounds impressive, but what'll be more impressive is when you learn about all the hundreds of thousands of dollars I lost making all of the mistakes that I don't want you to make. And that's what I teach in my community is I want everyone from, boomer to zoomer to make it in crypto. We all deserve the opportunity to participate in this new asset class, not just, the elites and banks and institutions. So I have been building crypto communities since 2022. I have a community called CryptoEase. The link is in bio. You're welcome to join. First 89 members are free. But feel free to ask me any questions in the comments here. You don't have to join my group, and I'll give you a full response. Here's my big disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax professional. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a crypto, I'm a cybersecurity engineer that's done really well in crypto. And I love helping people do the same, including my own family and friends. So let's get started. Okay. First off, you when you start investing in crypto or in anything, you need to take a look at your financial situation. And do you have enough of a buffer for emergencies? This is common advice, common investing advice, not just specific to crypto. I want to make sure that you're covered for your expenses. So set aside, the general advice is 3 to 6 months of living expenses in cash savings. The problem is that cash is getting devalued so fast. I think it's 11% already this year. Maybe it's more by now. I don't know. And that's part of the reason people are getting into crypto. That's one of the last places people like you and me can hope to actually protect our assets and protect our wealth. So, crypto is amazing, but at the same time, emergencies do happen. Make sure that you've set aside enough cash flow. Protect yourself first. Okay, moving on. What I recommend you do is start small. You want to build some crypto confidence. And, you could check out one of my other videos here. This is the simple 3 steps to getting started with crypto. I'll link it above here for you. Just like my mama, Julie, she was skeptical of crypto at first, like a lot of people. But now we're seeing institutions, government people all putting their money into crypto in heaps and piles. They're selling their US dollars to get into crypto, and she got started with a small amount. Dollar cost averaging is the way to go. And I'll teach you what dollar cost averaging is. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to put a set amount of crypto, a set amount of money into crypto every week or every month. And by doing that set amount, it's proven that in a lot of cases, you're actually going to outdo super smart traders and funds. Let me show you a little example of what I'm talking about here. Here's a crypto dollar cost averaging calculator from Uphold. I'll put the link in the description below for you. But we can go and let's take a look at, Bitcoin. And if you started with just $100 a month back in December of 2019, well, let's go and say, let's start in May when I started. Okay. If I had just stuck to buying Bitcoin and nothing else, and I bought $100 a month since May of 2020 when I got started in crypto, well, I would have turned $5,500 into almost $15,000. Okay. I mean, let's make it more extreme. Let's say, what if I invested $100 weekly just into Bitcoin? Well, I would have invested 23,000, And by now, that value would be more than double. More than double. You're not going to see that in stocks. You're not going to see that in your high yield savings account where you got to go and beg Mr. Bank Manager to get 1% if you're lucky. So, and the best place to do this in crypto is in DeFi, and that's exactly what I teach you how to do. Is how to do self custody. You have access to your money 24/7. I'm going to teach you how to be your own bank and show you the exact steps you need to do. I know that crypto and DeFi can feel confusing and look confusing at first, but if you stick with me, even my own mama's in this. So take a look at this crypto calculator. This is going to help you to figure out, your dollar cost averaging. Okay, now I'm kind of scared to look at ETH because it's been through a lot. Oh, look at that. It came out to almost the same value. But the fact of the matter is that ETH right now in this bull run is going to do better for you than Bitcoin. But that's a different topic. Let's get back to um, the next step. So remember, start small, just build that confidence. Oh, yeah, always be testing. All right. One of the big things that I learned early on in crypto is don't take anything for a fact. Just because someone says, hey, go buy $100,000 of Bitcoin. No, no, no. First, you test with $50 or $100. Every time you do something new in crypto, it's really important that you test first. And this has saved me a lot of money. Trust me on that. Do a small test transaction of anything you do new, whether it's with your Coinbase account in centralized or whether it's in decentralized finance. I strongly recommend you do that. Okay, let's move on to asset mix. So, what is a good asset mix for beginners? You've decided to invest $50 a week or a couple of $100 a month, or maybe 1,000, 2,000. I don't know, whatever's right for you. But what asset mix is good for beginners? Generally speaking, what I recommend you do is get started with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Build your foundation because that's something you can borrow against later to grow your portfolio. And I teach you how to do that safely. Okay. The other thing is maybe you want to have some stable coins. And stable coins is a nice hedge. You can earn yield on your stable coins in DeFi, or maybe you're, just interested in stable coins as a whole. My son-in-law Cole, he's really into stable coins. He's trying to protect his wealth. He doesn't want to get into Bitcoin and Ethereum. He sees that as kind of risky, and that's fine. What is good for you is good for you. Okay, and I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise, but I will teach you how to do all of these things safely. Now, if you are a beginner and you do want to grow that portfolio as quickly as possible, I think this is a good mix. 70% Bitcoin and Ethereum, 20% in stable coins, but then 10% for exploration and maybe a little bit of risk on, where I can teach you how to do step laddering. I can teach you how to go into some smaller assets with a little bit of an amount and turn 1% into 10%. Don't try to shoot for the moon. Just try to turn 1% into 10%, and that can change your whole portfolio. That's a game changer right there. Okay. Um, Number four, tie the amount to your income. Yeah, I definitely recommend that. I recommend coffee too. Hmm. YouTube's probably not going to like me for doing that, but you know what? I gotta, I gotta lubricate the old vocal cords there. So tie the amount to your income. Um, Something I learned early on, just in general with money, is pay yourself first. You're the one that's out there working for your money. Government's already got their hand in there with your taxes and deductions and all that stuff. But for the money that you bring home is, pay yourself first. It's kind of like a mind shift. We all think about our bills, our mortgages, rent, groceries, cars, all those things, kids. Um, and if you can just insert that shift in your budget that says, you know what, I'm going to pay myself first. Before I pay any bills or pay anybody else, I'm going to pay myself 10% of my salary. And start there. Start adapting that habit of paying yourself first and take that money and use that money to grow your portfolio. And we'll get to stocks and things like that in a second. But once you pay yourself first, build your emergency fund, and then after you've built your emergency fund, then you can start to take your disposable income and put that into crypto. And again, don't forget dollar cost averaging. If you get a weekly paycheck, maybe you put a little bit in every week. If you get paid monthly or bi-weekly, then just put a little bit in every month or every 2 weeks. And you want to make it practical to your life. It needs to fit, the way that you work. And once you get started and you get familiar with it, you try out these different processes, you learn how to onboard your crypto, then you can decide to go faster. Once you start to see results, I've seen friends, in fact, I've done this myself. I've seen friends start off and they're like, yeah, Mike, okay, crypto sounds good, but I'm just going to try $100 a month. And then they start to see results and start to see the passive income you can earn and start to see what happens with your Bitcoin and Ethereum and these other assets. And then they start to sell all of their stocks. They start to cash in their 401k and they're moving it all into crypto. Why? Because in a way, you're not buying crypto, you're actually selling your US dollars that are devaluing pretty fast. So, think about that. Okay, let's talk about risk appetite. So, another big factor is, you know, how risky do you want to get? I talked about my son-in-law Cole, who is really just heavy in stable coins. He wants to make yield. He's trying to do better than the bank, which is very easy in DeFi, but he doesn't want to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum just yet, and is looking to protect his wealth, the existing wealth, with stable coins. So that's one way to look at it, and that'll be like light risk. You're looking to create a retirement. Stick to the blue chips and stable coins. Blue chips are things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Maybe there's some others in the top 10 we can talk about. But generally speaking, if you're just getting started, there's no reason to, do anything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion. However, if you do have a higher risk appetite and you're looking to grow faster, maybe you have a deadline for retirement. Maybe you're looking to create a passive income on the side and replace your income. I have members that are doing that. Or maybe you're like Mama Julie, who's looking for other ways at retirement because there is nothing. You know, some of us only work, an hourly wage. Some of us, only have some little benefits. And so maybe you're trying to, create a retirement for yourself. So tie it back to your goals. What are your income goals? Are you building a nest egg? Are you saving up for something big? Do you have some life events coming your way, maybe health things and so on? Or are you saving for a big trip? Account for your goals and how that affects your risk appetite. And oftentimes this is where the questions start to come in, and so bring that to the comments. I'm happy to help you in the comments, no problem, um, or to the group. Okay, let's talk about some lifestyle trade-offs. So while you might be looking to go fast and while you setting aside a certain amount of income, maybe you want to ask yourself is, if you're just getting started with investing, is what are you willing to trade off? Because that steak dinner, that $100 steak dinner that you buy today with your US dollar cash money, that could turn to $200 in Bitcoin. So think about that. If you forego that steak dinner or you forego that other luxury, maybe temporarily, you're going to have an opportunity to make even more in crypto. And that's one of the ways that you can protect your wealth today is, are you buying crypto or are you selling fiat? That's one of the questions I'd be asking myself. So it's a depreciating asset. You're putting that into crypto, and that crypto is appreciating in value. Even if you're doing stable coins, you can earn a better yield in decentralized finance. I teach you how to do that than you can with your own bank and have access to your money 24/7. So consider what are the lifestyle trade-offs you're willing to make. A lot of people are not willing to, make trade-offs in their lifestyle. You work hard enough, you earn your money already. So then just put what you can aside. Now, one of the key things here is, okay, I call this, shiny syndrome. And this is one of the things I have to admit that I got sucked up in when I got into crypto. I got started in crypto. I started feeling like, hey, I'm doing Bitcoin and Ethereum. I got myself some mentors and I learned a lot about how to get in, how to hodl my assets, and also learned that on average, just buying and holding is more successful than trying to be a trader. Okay, is don't make the same mistake I've made where you think you're smarter than you are. Okay. You read a couple of articles, you go to a couple of websites, your family starts to ask you questions because they just don't know. And then suddenly you think, like, hey, I know all about crypto. Yeah, I can trade. Oh, look at this little meme coin going here. Or look at this other risky asset. And suddenly you lose all your money. A lot of people that just bought Bitcoin and Ethereum have done way better than some of the younger guys that or will go and get into meme coins or so on. And they've proven that most of the times those kind of riskier assets, it's all prearranged. There's an insider group that's trading you and you become the exit liquidity. I don't want that for you. Okay. So remember to buy more assets. Okay. Assets can make you money. You can put your Bitcoin to work earning yield. You can put your Ethereum to work earning yield, even your stable coins. So buy as many assets as you can while you can. Even during this bull run, proven techniques like dollar cost averaging are there for you and they will help you. Now, a couple more points before we close out is remember that when you're buying assets, the US government or whoever your government is, they want to get their slice, right? They want to just kick back and be like, hey, I want my third or whatever it is. So remember that when you go to sell, that actually creates tax events, capital gains, it's called. And that's when the government comes knocking and they're looking for their slice. Now, I can teach you, and here's one of my most recent videos that I'll link right here. This is a video I dropped yesterday or recorded yesterday on how you can borrow against your crypto assets tax free. Borrowing against your assets is tax free. It's the secret of the rich. I teach you how to do all these things. So there are tax advantages to holding on to your assets. There's tax advantages to borrowing against them, and that historically beats trading. So that's kind of the framework. We've run through it. Let's go and take a little breather here and look at our call to action. Number one is that was a general framework to help you start to figure out what works for you, what your personal goals are, and what your personal numbers are. It depends on your situation. Now, if you want me to build you a personal crypto investing plan, go ahead and join my group. It's still free to join, and people that join free actually get a call with me. You get an intro call with me that I give to those first folks that are joining up. So take advantage of that. If you don't want to join any more groups or get on any more lists, I totally understand. That's perfectly fine. Go ahead and let's discuss it in the comments. Put it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer your questions in my next video. It helps my YouTube engagement and it helps you. You don't have to join any more groups. It's perfectly fine by me. But I tell you what, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, do all those things. But please share it with someone else you love, someone else that could get into DeFi, that could get into crypto, and that's just looking to figure out this very simple question of how much should you start with in crypto. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend with your family and friends. It's Labor Day weekend here in the US. I'm looking to have a barbecue with my baby and my wife and family, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Have a great long week, Labor Day weekend. See you later. Cheers.